Marko here from Fair Realty. Today I'm talking about investment condos. Should you rent them furnished or should you rent them unfurnished? And over the years I've bought quite a few investment condos personally that I've rented out. I always do 1 year minimum rentals just because I don't have time to do vacation rentals or short-term rentals. But even though I've always rented all of my condos on 1 year leases, I've always also rented them furnished. And by furnished, I mean the large furniture. I include a couch, a TV stand TV, bed frame, bed, but I don't include things like linens, cutlery, etc. I have the tenants provide those things. And a number of observations over the years is, first of all, the units take a lot less beating because large furniture is not being moved in and out every few years when a tenant leaves. When a tenant leaves, I re-rent it to another tenant, and that tenant, he or she, shows up with a briefcase. So very, very low impact on the unit in terms of getting beaten up from various moves. Secondly, what I've kind of really appreciated over the years of renting furnished units is you typically get tenants that are in Victoria for a year or two. So over the years, for example, I've had medical residents who are doing a year of their medical residency in Victoria, and then after that they move back to Vancouver or wherever they're from. I've had people in Victoria on 1 year contracts, and then they move back. The nice thing about that, in my opinion, is when a tenant moves out because they're moving away, it's a really good opportunity to raise the rent to market value. So for example, a couple of years ago, one of my tenants, who was a medical resident, he moved out. He was paying $1,150. I put the unit up for $1,300, rented quickly. When the current tenant moves out, I'm gonna once again adjust the rent to market value. And it's a lot easier when a tenant moves out to simply re-rent it at a higher price than trying to play catch up to market by issuing very small rental increases every year. And honestly, I'm also not the type of guy that does rental increases. If I have good tenants, I'm not going to increase their rent. Just not really a philosophy I prescribe to. So my ideal situation is tenant moves out because they're moving away under their own will. I get to re-rent the unit at market value. But there's one more reason that I've started thinking about in the last little while that hadn't crossed my mind in previous years is, if you furnish your unit and for some reason during the course of a tenancy you want to sell that unit, let's say the market is ridiculously hot like it is right now, you have a tenant in the unit, but at the same time you want to capitalize on a hot market and sell your investment, you at least have some nice looking furniture in the unit versus the tenant moving in with their own furniture, which sometimes may not look that great. So recently I've had to sell quite a few tenanted units in terms of people capitalizing, and man, some tenants, they have furniture in the unit that's not really conducive to the unit. For example, the furniture is way too big. However, if you own the unit and you're going to rent it furnished before the first tenant moves, then obviously, hopefully, you're going to have some common sense to pick furniture that's appropriate for the unit, and it's going to make the unit look good. So, in conclusion, I'm a huge believer personally of renting units furnished. I do like to rent them on a 1 year basis, so I'm not talking about short-term rentals, but I like 1 year to 2 year rentals with furnished units. That's it for this week. Marko, Juras, Fair Realty.